I wasn't invited to my own mother's birthday. Not because I was busy, not because I lived far away, but because my father said I was an embarrassment. Those were his exact words. He told me not to show up, said I would ruin the atmosphere. And my sister? She didn't defend me. She just sent a text, "Please don't make this harder." Harder for who? I spent my whole childhood trying to be perfect for them. Straight A's, no trouble, no drama. But the moment I chose the military over my father's business, I became the black sheep. So no, I wasn't supposed to be there. But that night, sitting alone in my apartment, staring at a photo of my mom holding me as a baby, I realized something. She didn't raise me to be weak. So I put on my dress uniform, pressed, clean, decorated. The same uniform my father once said was a phase. And I drove to the party. When I walked in, the room went silent. My sister looked horrified. My father's face turned red with anger, like I had just committed a crime. "Why are you here?" he snapped. But before I could answer, my sister's boyfriend stood up. He had been quiet all evening, just another guest as far as I knew. He looked at me, straightened his posture, and said, "Ma'am, Colonel." The entire room froze. My father blinked, confused, embarrassed. My sister whispered, "Wait, what?"
Turns out, my sister's boyfriend was a civilian contractor working on a joint task force I had commanded last year. He had taken orders from me in a war zone. He knew exactly who I was. Suddenly, the embarrassment was the highest-ranking person in the room. My father tried to laugh it off, tried to introduce me like he'd always been proud. I stopped him. For the first time in my life, I didn't ask for his approval. I walked past him, straight to my mom. She had tears in her eyes, not because she was ashamed, because she was proud. I hugged her and said, "I'm sorry I'm late, Mom." And that's when I realized revenge isn't loud. It isn't cruel. It isn't tearing people down. Sometimes it's simply walking into a room as the person they said you'd never become and watching them realize they were wrong.
After everyone found out I was a colonel, the energy in the room completely changed. People who never spoke to me before suddenly wanted to shake my hand. My father tried to act proud. He put his arm around me and said, "This is my daughter. I always knew she'd do great." Always knew? That was the same man who told me not to come. For a moment, the old me wanted to stay quiet, to keep the peace. But the new me didn't need his approval. So I gently stepped away from him and said calmly, "You didn't want me here tonight, so don't rewrite the story now." The room went silent again. Not dramatic, not loud, just truth. My sister looked down. She knew it was true. Then, my mom did something I will never forget. She walked over, held my hand, and said to everyone, "This is my daughter. She protects people for a living, and I am proud of her." That was the only validation I ever needed.
No shouting, no insults, no revenge speech. Just dignity. I stayed for 10 minutes, gave my mom her gift, took one photo with her, and then I left. Not because I wasn't welcome anymore, but because I didn't need to stay where I was only valued after they saw my rank. A week later, my father called me. For the first time in his life, he apologized. Not perfectly, not emotionally, but he said the words, "I was wrong." And that was my real revenge. Not the uniform, not the title, but becoming someone who no longer needed their approval to exist.